Welcome back on deynonmod. Today I want to propose you a video about the unboxing review about the WDF issue 526 of July 2026 released by the Games Workshop. So here you can see something intriguing because here it's a celebration about the Dawn of War 4 as video game that it's going to be released, so it's really quite interesting. And to celebrate it, they released this way, okay, with these inserts that are the diecast related about the Battlereport that sincerely I appreciated quite a lot, so really quite nice. And now a bit of rant moment. Okay, Ju, please try to take this better, cause here it's a bit ruined. Here you can see, and it was the best, okay. And if you go to see about here the WDF itself, we can see that it was anyway damaged, okay, in some way. Moreover, you can see here that it's like this, and it was impossible to open to verify that it was perfect the WDF itself. So please try to do this better, okay. So here we can see from this some anticipation, so about a bit of background related about the tank battles, and here the battle report about the old world that it's not common, okay, so it's quite interesting. We can see about the answers that are inside here, so we can find that inside we have these ones that are the screens that we can use. Here we could say that it's related about Cathai, because here it's quite similar, okay. And eventually the one that is about the wastes of here, we can say Warhammer 40k, but also can be used eventually for Chaos in Jars, so even the wastes for the Old World or the Age of Sigmar, so it's not a problem, it's really quite nice. And remember that you can here take them out, or you can try to scan them or photograph them and so print them back, so it's not a problem. Then we have the part about here, the mission about Warhammer 40k, and here the mission about Age of Sigmar that it's new, because this one it's without age, it doesn't have anything that it's a reprinted one, so it's something new, not bad at all. You have the alternative cover for the WDF that it's the same that we can see here, okay, but without any writing and so on. You can have this having the subscription of the WDF itself. You can save also money, so it's an option eventually. So okay, now it's time to start to see what are the contents inside this WDF. Here we have an introduction about the WDF. Here we have the contents inside the WDF. Here we can start to see about the first article that it's one of the main themes about this WDF, that it's about the video game Dawn of War 4 that it's going to be released. And here it's quite interesting because they give you some talk about the part about the creation of the game, the environment, and so on, related about Warhammer 40k, and also some images related, so not bad at all. And I quite like about this game. I played a lot about Dawn of War 1, the 2 a bit less, the 3 didn't like too much, and I have also Dawn of War Definitive Edition that I quite appreciate, so it's something really quite intriguing, okay, so it's an interesting interview, moreover because they explain you with the faction that you are going to play. So we have about the Blood Ravens, the part about the Dark Angels, here we have the part about the Orcs, then we have the Necrons, and the part about the Mechanicus, the Titus Mechanicus. So okay, quite intriguing in my opinion. There is quite a lot to think about, and there is quite a lot of information. So it's a way to know a bit some anticipation about the game itself, if you are going to have fun about eventually, because you can think if you are interested. So I think that it's not bad at all in my opinion. And I have had the temporary thought that it's about the Blood Ravens. So it's more about Dawn of War, but the Blood Ravens are technically all related about the Dawn of War. So we can see about the video games that has been released, and also the publication about Dawn of War, because there's been some novels related, and it's quite interesting because there is also quite a lot of talking about Goto. Goto, it's an author that it's a bit strange, okay. In such a way, I invite you to see the Astropathe that also make the videos on YouTube, that they talk quite a lot about this author, and you have to fun about finding something related about it. Believe me, it's funny, okay. So not bad at all, because there has been also, you can see a miniature, so about Angelos. Okay, it's really quite intriguing, and believe me, it's something that I suggest you to watch, because for example there are some things that I myself I forgot, for example the comic related. So see about this, maybe it can be a good way to make you think about covering something or something else, not bad. You had the part about printing for the Blood Ravens, and since I'm thinking about creating a small code about the Blood Ravens, because I always like them, so why not? We see, okay? It's quite intriguing about. Even to remember that there is such part about creating your scheme of color here for the Blood Ravens, or you can follow my guides of paint, it's an option. Then we had the part about here, the vehicles, so the tanks and the tanks part in particular. We've seen anticipation with the part about the external cover for this White Dwarf. So okay, here we have some narrative about the tanks and some battle itself, and I love the part about the images here because it's really quite nice, and it's a way to something about maybe some knowledge about tanks, famous battles and so on. So not bad at all. I quite appreciate such things. Okay, I think that it's quite nice because give you at least some information about maybe some faction that usually you don't follow too much. Here I also read about the Full War of Armageddon, so not bad. Then we had the army gallery. Here it's one that I love because it's really a way to understand how much you can convert, personalize your army. For example, what you think about this army, what could be? Okay, it's about Genestealers and Tyrants, so completely strange in some way, but at the same time fantastic. So I'm quite curious about where do you put the limit of conversion and proxy, because technically this should be also called a proxy army, but it's all converted. It's quite nice, and I'm quite curious about your opinion. Eventually write in the comment, because sincerely I think that this is something that you have to watch. You don't need to use this as, okay, I had to do like this, but okay, I can do like this, really. Okay, you can have quite a lot of ideas from this, and it's the thing that I love most. Remember that all these are from original models and plastic cards, so you have to remember about such option. And for example, there are some models like this that have some problems to remember what it is, but seeing it on the battlefield, it will be not a problem, because sincerely I'd ask the opponent, and it would be quite amazing to have such spectacle. You can see how much plastic could be used. You can also use other things. Okay, you don't have to use all such plastic. You can use some toy to combine. Eventually, not to worry. Still, it's simply amazing one, and give you the idea, and it's something that I completely like. So it's really quite intriguing. It's something that in my opinion, it's something to take note about, not to copy, but as idea, oh, I can do like this. For example, there are simple things like these electric wire that are simple ones that I myself do something like this. It's not a problem, but at the same time, oh, okay, you can do like this. You can create, you can have things that will be quite nice. For example, the effect of paint. So it's not bad. For example, this Storm Raven could be really quite nice applied also to other options. So you can have quite a lot of things. Now we have the part about the escalation. Here is the last part of what we see in previous number related. So how you can start with a small force and go up and points. So here we can see that it's the continuation of the 519 that is for December 2025, 522 that is from March 2026, the 524 that is from May 2026, and the 525 that is from June 2026. So it's something that it's the end in some way, but the end or the new beginning, because after that you have prepared your army of 2000 points, why limit to this and not go to Apocalypse or going up to have some changing in the rooster, maybe something that you can play more as collectible or so on. It could be nice. Then we had the part about the mission that going to move from the previous to this. So it's quite nice because and then they create a sort of campaign, sort of okay, step by step I can improve my army, adding something. So not bad at all. Then I had this that it's about the old world with the Great Bastion. So it's a little about Cathai, and I think that it's quite nice because it's not often that you would list some article about the old world, so not bad at all. Moreover, have all the reason about the Arcane Journals related about Cathai and also Camry, so maybe in the future I should bring something related, okay, we'll see. And then here, the Battlereport about the Chaos versus Cathai, but why this, because GW released this month also the setbox with the new update of the core book for the old world, and it's quite intriguing because inside there are the armies that are written about Chaos and Cathai. Moreover, about Chaos, they introduce new models, and they are all fantastic ones, so it's really quite intriguing. These are armies that sincerely it would be always quite nice, and I would suggest you to read about such battle reports, because it's a way to know about the game itself, because maybe you haven't played the old Warhammer Fantasy, and the old world is similar but not the same, so pay attention. Maybe you can start, okay, or you can like some miniatures, it's quite intriguing also on, or eventually you can try eventually some diorama that you can find quite interesting, or maybe some representation and create new dioramas. So I think that it's quite intriguing in such a way. You have quite a lot of options, and it's something that is worth to read about, in my opinion. Then I had this, that it's about the new General Handbook 26-27 that it's going to be released now, and it's important because we moved from the Scourge of Giran to the Scourge of Akshi. So about this, remember that on the site of Warhammer community you can find also the part about the downloading. I'll talk also in the part about the facts, okay, but the downloading of the Scourge of Akshi, and there is been the release also about the points. So I think that it's really quite intriguing about such things, so it's a way to understand what it's really about, what has been changed, what has been added, and so on. I think that it's quite nice, so it's a good introduction. And I've had this that in my opinion it's simply fantastic. Here is an article and maybe the start of a campaign that it's quite amazing. Here it's fantastic because this Har Kuron says by Shadow, it's an anticipation of what we've seen in the here White Dwarf 462 with here a fresh point broken realms, that it's about broken realms Morati, okay, and it's about the short story that it's inside here, that it's from March 2021, so it's 5 years, okay. And so here we can find the anticipation about what is inside this White Dwarf. Remember that then there is a novel that you can find that it's about the enemies of Enderarm, the Ancients, and it's by Dave Lucas. Instead, the short stories in the White Dwarf was written about Nick Horse. And it's quite intriguing because they talk you about what happened. So here we start from the Broken Years Morati and then move on to the part about the short stories and then a part about novels. So okay, quite nice in my opinion. I really quite appreciate such thing, and it's something to appreciate. Also about the part of the images that are quite nice. That I think that it's really quite fantastic. Moreover, I hope that this will be the first part of the campaign, because technically, okay, here we have the rule about the campaign, the Kraken awakens. At the same time, we have also a lot of things in here, so maybe it will be a standalone part. But I really hope that there will be not a standalone part, because we have a lot of missions, so we can progress with what we have seen inside here, the story itself. So it's a good way to propose what has been in the part about the background and see apply in the rules. So not bad at all in my opinion. Maybe another part it will be quite interesting, because I'd like to have even more, because I love the part about the things related about the enemies of Enderarm. Moreover, it's related about Anvilgard becoming Har Kuron, so it's a part of background that I love, and so I'm really quite intrigued about. They had the part about the heavy metal painting. Okay, here you can see and take some note about what you can be interested about. I always think that there are too many colors for what it's going to be done, but at the same time it could be quite nice to understand some tricks, some option that would be a good way to paint. So try eventually to steal some ideas from here. It could be really quite nice. And then how about Ciaphas Cain? Here has been released this article because in June has been released the new miniature about Ciaphas Cain, and really I love such a character about Warhammer 40k. It's one of my favorite. It's a character that has been written by Sandy Mitchell, and sincerely I find it really quite amazing. Here it's a presentation so that you can understand its character, what it's about, and so on. Here so introduction about Ciaphas Cain. One other of the main character that it's about Embedded Whale, that it's technically the fiancé. Okay, it's an Inquisitor, so think about how strange it can be. Then how about Julian, that it's inside the miniature itself, and I think that it's amazing. Other characters that are quite often cited, okay, it's something that it's quite nice. And I've had a description about the novels related about Ciaphas Cain. Remember that, okay, there's been the release of 3 omnibus that are Ciaphas Cain, Hero of the Imperium, the part about Defender of the Imperium, and then Savior of the Imperium. Then there is an anthology, Ciaphas Cain, the anthology, okay, that is quite interesting. Moreover, there are also other 2 that are here, Choose Your Enemies and Vainglorious, that technically are still not in any of the publication related, so it's quick to see if Sandimichi will publish something more, and we have also these ones in one, okay, it will be quite interesting. And in the future I think that I'll bring up something related, you can understand what I mean. So here we have a little interview about Sandimichi talking, called Here we have the miniature. And I think that it's fantastic. I'm not quite satisfied about the face of Ciaphas Cain. I think that it's maybe the painting that it's not perfect, but I love the part about Jürgen that has been made perfect in my opinion. So okay, strange but at the same time fantastic. I like it. And I had the part about the access granted, that I think that it's simply amazing. Then the part about the combination of what it was, the part about section of the clubs, and the mini list of the leader to the team of the White Dwarf. Here it was just nice to see, to watch about the painting, the models and some that could have conversion, the basing and so on. But sometimes it's also about the writing, because there could be some intriguing information. Here we can see some style of painting that could be nice. Remember that you don't have to copy, you need only to take note. Okay, because there could be some things that could be nice to add to RAM and so on. For example, about these that are the blood ravens, that are one of the main things about such White Dwarf. For example, could you be used the part about naming the various models could be nice. It's an option eventually, or maybe also the sergeant could be. So you can take the note about and then apply how you want. So not bad, and I think that it's always quite nice. Obviously it's up to you to decide what you're interested about. Then have the part about here that is for the clubs, so in this case about Tokyo. So it's quite nice because here you can see how it's lived, it's perceived, the part about the hobby in other countries, so it could be quite nice. So it's a way maybe that you could have some ideas, some things that could be improving also in your own realities or so on, not bad. Then had the part about here, the part of what we see in the next White Dwarf, so not bad at all. Here the answers, okay. And then have here the back cover that is stated about the Dawn of War 4. So we have the part about the Dark Angels and the Necrons. Okay, not bad in some way. So to say about such White Dwarf, sincerely, if I talk about myself, I'm completely satisfied. I know that it's missing quite a lot of things, okay? It's not perfect for everyone. If you go to see about Warhammer 40k, have the part about Ciaphas Cain. If you go to see about Age of Sigmar, have the part about Anvilgard, Har Kuron, Saved by Shadow. That is fantastic, okay? You know that I love that part. Then, if you go to see about modelings, we have tons of things. Had the part about the Dawn of War interview and the images that it's fantastic. I think that it can be really quite amazing one. Then we can see the part about the tanks, that it's okay, nice. I miss the part about the Black Library. I think that it has been substituted with the part about Saved by Shadow for Age of Sigmar, okay. So there are a lot of things about painting, conversion, and so on that it's quite nice. At the same time, I can understand that someone could say, okay, but we are talking about a White Dwarf that is about calm, okay, it could be nice, but we have the list about the new edition, 11th edition of Warhammer 40k, and have so few things related, because there are really few things. Strange, because there is the old world that it's fantastic, okay, you talked about the part of the new setbox with the new mods about Chaos Warriors and so on, but all here, because technically there is not something new. Okay, there is the video game, but there is not something new. So okay, I think that I can understand eventually such stuff, and I'm curious about your doubts about, are you satisfied with such White Dwarf? Would you like something more? Because I think that there is quite a lot of things to think about. And are you going to read about Ciaphas Cain? Okay. And I suggest you about Emis of the Name the Ancient from Dave Lucas about the Black Rabbit, that I think that it's fantastic to read. Or you can try to gain back the things that it's about the short stories that it's for now only in the Warhammer issue 462, okay, Lost in Shadow, that could be nice. So, okay, I'm quite curious about your opinion. Do you like, not like? What do you think about, I'm really quite curious, what do you think about that conversion, that army conversion? Because I think that it's fantastic, but do you think that it's a conversion or it's a nice proxy? I think that it's a discussion that could be quite nice to develop. Anyway, from deynonmod it's everything. I invite you to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell so to receive notification about new video, to comment under here about this video, or if you want to suggest me new videos. So, I hope to see you again to the next time.